All right. This is the part where I say, what's up, y'all? My name is Emily, and I am here to overshare. Hello. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. How are you today? I hope you are well. I hope all is well. And even if it's not, I hope you're doing your best to be okay. And today's video, there was no rehearsing for this. There was no preparing for this. There was just me getting ready for the camera and just hitting record. I'm here to talk about my experience with grief, and it's like I lost my mom last year, and it was the first loss that I think I experienced that was so near and dear to me, and it was just one hell of a journey. I don't even know how to explain it, but I just hope to express what it was for me from the time leading up to her end, the process of just being with that loss and being with the pain of it, and just how I'm doing, I think, in this present moment or in this present day. And so for me, I don't even know, man. Wow. I really want to just share this from the bottom of my heart. I don't want to try to, intellectualize the experience. I want to share it as sincerely as I possibly can. And I have to say, it was her death was something that it's like I knew it was coming around that time, but I just wasn't ready to accept that that's what it was going to be, because I would say a year prior to that, or let me just say when COVID happened, it shifted so many things. And one of the things I think that kind of happened for me was we got really closer with my mom. I would say I had a difficult relationship with her. I think in my teenage years leading up to the young adults, we had a rocky relationship. And also because we lived together, or at least I was still living at my parents' house before I came to Canada, and there were days where we were calm and cool and getting along fine, and then there were days where we were just not even talking at all, and that just, I feel, also severed or just disrupted, the mother-daughter relationship. And the distance, after I left Canada, after I left Kenya, when I came to Canada, I think the distance also kind of helped, for us to grow fond of each other. We would talk on the phone, it was just, her getting to know how I'm doing, how's life happening for me, how I'm adjusting and all of that. And so that period kind of also helped to get our relationship, back to good. And so COVID happened, and we were talking more frequently on the phone. And then I think 2021, once I embarked on my healing journey, it was this one specific book. It Didn't Start With You by Mark Willin. He basically just, teaches or talks about generational trauma. And for me, after like reading, because that I think was like that was like the third or fourth self-help book that I read when I started my journey. Actually, it was the second. It was the second. I won't lie, it was the second. And so I really wanted to just like get to understand trauma for myself, and to also understand my own traumas, and to help myself work through it, and also having that perspective of generational trauma introduced, you know, and going back to like my family tree and trying to understand, you know, all these things and asking the questions. For me, it really helped repair my relationship with my mom, because I think there was this lack of understanding that I had. You don't really realize how that they themselves too, our parents, they had their own traumas, and the era that they lived in, you know, and all these other factors that came with that, and how they dealt with it mostly was, you know, how they saw those that came before them deal with it. And that's how they kind of also parented us. And there are moments where you feel that sense of resentment, or like, you know, like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Before you actually come to understand that they too didn't know any better. They too had their own share of pain that you probably won't even ever know about. And that era or that generation, they were not really, you know, vocal about their pain, their experiences, and all these things. And so that book really just opened my mind up, and it made me curious. And in order to understand my relationship with my mom better, I had to ask, you know, sit with the feelings, the emotions, there's a set of questions that I would ask. And I got to understand, you know, my parents separately, because there are questions in, you know, that pertain your relationship with your mother. There are questions that pertain your relationship with your father. And so for me, that was really helpful. And through that, or after doing that exercise, I wanted to even just understand her more. I wanted to hear her stories more. And it actually deepened my connection with her. And so we would talk on the phone weekly. I would try to, like, you know, get some stories out of her, just ask her questions, get her talking. And some of the things she shared with me just, you know, had me feeling even more empathy for her. And I want to say my mom really struggled with depression. It was very bad for her. Oh my God, I don't want to get emotional. Here I am. So, it really deepened my sense of empathy for her. And I just also grew this sense of wanting to help her even more, and wanting to guide her and, you know, get her to understand what depression is. And good enough, there were like these vernacular channels, you know, TV, Kameme TV, and they would bring doctors that would talk to, you know, in vernacular to them about like depression and the different mental illnesses, and, you know, just mental health overall, physical health. And I found that it was so helpful, because she knew what she would talk about it, you know. She would call it depression. There's a sorry. My mom had an accent. She was Kikuyu to the core. So at least she had an understanding of it. And so I really just tried very hard to get her to see, or to reflect on her part, what, you know, experiences that she had that led her to her depression. And I feel, or at least for me, it felt like it was working, because she also developed a sense of openness towards me, and she would, you know, call more frequently. She would talk to me more about things, you know. She'd be calling me to tell me what's the latest gossip, you know, what's tea in the family. And me also just, you know, wanting to to share that bond with her. I'd also just give her the tea on my siblings and all this and that. And it just created this amazing bond between me and her. And so, with that, like leading up to that, her illness was just getting worse by the day. And she had such a fear of being hospitalized, which I find that a lot of seniors tend to have that fear, especially traditional, like African grandparents. There's that fear that they have of going to hospital. But I totally understood why that was the case, because there weren't as many advancements that they saw, you know, in medicine like we have seen now in these current times. And for them, I think that was like, it felt like it was like you're just giving them a ticket to their deathbed. And that was such a big struggle for her. And it wasn't until like things got so bad, you know, that her condition was so bad that she just had to agree to go to the hospital, and which she did. And like a week or two, she made great recovery and she was discharged and got back home. And so for me, that like just really got my hopes up so much. And having been here, like it was probably 6 years at that time, and like I was very close to getting my citizenship. And for me, that was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get my citizenship. She's going to recover great, and I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna see her. And then that period in which she was recovering, it's like her condition was getting bad, or at least it started, you know, getting bad again. And that thought was like occurring in my mind. And it was one of those things where you're like, oh my God, I don't even want to think about this, you know? I can't imagine what this would be or what this would do. And it's also kind of just going against what I've already imagined could be possible, you know? That I'm gonna make it home. I'm gonna see her. And unfortunately, it didn't happen that way. And so she passed away, and the first feeling I felt was anger. I was so angry, because I just didn't understand how, you know, that was, you know, that was the case. And having wanted it so badly, that for it to be that I was going to see her and that not happening, oh man, that one like completely broke my heart. And luckily enough, at the same time, it's like with the healing process, or having been on my healing journey, I'd learned acceptance, you know, or at least I was starting to embrace the process of acceptance. And I just had to really evaluate that. I had to accept that that was what it was. And death is such, you know, a permanent thing. It's unchangeable. You can't do anything about it, you know? And that really, like, having practice acceptance really helped a lot to just, you know, navigate through the anger, and just to let it go, because it was not really serving me, and it was not even helping me at all to, you know, to be even in the experience of mourning with family, with friends, you know. And it was great that I was able to just accept that, because also at the same time, I imagined if it would have been that my relationship with her would still have been rocky, how devastating it would have been for me, you know. And I had to celebrate the win that was that we had a great relationship. I even taught her how to say I love you, you know, and she would hate it so much when I would tell her to say it, because English was not her language at all, you know. You should just be like, jockey, where Nike Subia causes out Nanya, you said, May Kwanini. And she would just throw a whole fit, and then I'm like, I still want to hear you say it, you know? And I mean, some of those things are what I would just, try to hold on to and remember, because it was comforting to know that we shared that. However few or many times that it happened, it was good to know that there was that, and to just cherish that. And also going back to memories from the past, the funny ones, the hilarious ones, to just laugh at those, to feel joy about those, and joy about the fact that I shared that with her. It was amazing. And so with grief, I would say it was just about allowing myself to move through all the waves of emotions that came with it, Sometimes it would just be, I'm having a great day, I'm okay, everything's going good, but then all of a sudden, just one thought, and then it just hits you all over again, and you're just there wailing, uncontrollably. But I embraced that process, because that was what helped me get it off, And even to this day, like, I think there's so many things that I hoped or wished for, and this was in the event that I made it back home and she'd be there, and having to change that narrative within me or within my mind and accept the narrative that is, or, embody what is, and just move forward with that. And it still feels difficult to accept that there'll be so many things that your loved one will miss out on, or you'll miss out on sharing them with your loved one because they're gone. But that I've come to just realize, it's when you're in that moment, then it just hits you. Oh, like, I think the first Christmas after her passing, it hit me. It was like, oh, this is the first Christmas without her here. And Christmas was her favorite holiday. Like, it didn't matter. Like, it was just about getting, food, drinks, snacks, all the junk you could think of. We would go Christmas shopping and get like 2 carts, and she would buy whatever we threw in the cart. And for her, it was just like, it was just wonderful for her to see that we were all happy, and she wanted people to come over to our house, come eat, do this, that, and to imagine that that's not going to be that way anymore. Lord, that one. Wait, but I think that one will take it. It will just come with time, It still hits you all over again, but you just slowly and surely just embrace that the reality is different. And I think also just finding new traditions or new ways to honor their memory, in these like holidays or these, special celebrations, that you really wish that they were there, but they aren't going to be anymore. And for me, that really helped a lot, to just accept it's going to be different. And the first Christmas I found my way of just exercising a new thing. I put up a Christmas tree, because she loved Christmas trees. She loved Christmas decorations. When I tell you, we used to decorate the house with balloons. The Christmas tree would be put on the dining table, lights all over it. Like, the little things, the things that we would fold, the paper, I don't know what they're called. And we would have them all hanging around the house. And she wanted all kinds of colors, no color scheme. It was just whatever, And I hope to embody some of these things also, just to keep her memory going and keep her memory alive, even during these, holidays. And also, I think journaling about it too, that helped a lot to express, the emotions that just come in waves, sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's anger, sometimes it's, just laughter, remembering something so funny. It's those things that also just, they help you navigate differently or just move past that emotion. And also, I think a thing that was so contradicting to me during that time of her loss was there was a sense of peace that I had, because I was like, okay, she's not sick anymore. She doesn't have to struggle anymore. Depression is not a thing for her anymore. All these things. So it was comforting to know that she wasn't suffering anymore. Because in those days where, she would have her moments, she would have her episodes, it would just hit you all over again, like, oh man, like she's going through this, and it just makes you all the more sad. But the comfort that came with knowing that it doesn't have to be that anymore was beautiful, weirdly beautiful, strangely, like there was peace. There was just, okay, it's not so stressful anymore. I cannot even explain. And then there are moments where I'd feel guilty. I'm like, am I wrong for feeling this? But in truth, there was nothing wrong with actually feeling that, because it meant peace for you also, and it meant peace for them, and that was comforting in its own way. I'm not sure. I believe there are people that have experienced that in their own form of grief and whatever loss they experienced, And I can't really say it's a thing that you move past. You really don't. It just gets easier to feel that pain. And it's been now maybe a year and some months, and there's still moments where you could just be in the car driving and it just poof again, and you just cry a little bit, and then you just laugh, and you just accept that, and then your day goes on. At least that's what it was for me, because before it would just put me down, but now I'm able to just feel that, that pain, the tears, cry, express it, and then it leaves you, and then you just continue on. And also just sharing, memories with siblings and loved ones, and just remembering her. Some were just so funny because my mom was a whole character, and those just, they keep you jolly and happy, and just remembering her in that light kind of also just comforts you in some way, And yeah, I think also grief in itself taught me that life is so temporary. We're only here for a while. The crazy part about it is that we're so caught up in whatever our life problems are presently, and sometimes it's just not easy. But to realize that even that is just a very temporary thing, and it's not something that you have to just get lost in just because that's the case right now, And also when it just hits you that time is just passing you by, and you can't just waste your life, your energy worrying and beating yourself up and putting yourself down and carrying burdens in terms of emotions and past pain and hurt, because life is slowly fading away. And to realize that every day you near your deathbed, every day you're getting a step closer to your death. For me, that was such a wake-up call to just be like, live your life right now. You're here. You may have these challenges in your life. You may have these problems. You may have these struggles. But it doesn't mean that you stop living. It doesn't mean that you stay sad. It doesn't mean that you stay worrying, stressed, overwhelmed, when you could simply just accept that that's what it is and set it aside know that it is there in the back of your mind, but still be present enough to just enjoy the little things, the little moments that you have in your day-to-day experiences, spending time with friends, visiting family, even just spending time with yourself, going on your own solo dates, going on walks. I'm so heavily into that now. Like, I really love spending time with myself, and I find ways to just, get that solo time even more, to make it more fun and more enjoyable for me. And it somewhat is healing even for you. And it settles you within yourself, to know that I may have a gazillion things that I need to, solve within my life situations, but I don't have to be sad while solving them. I don't have to be miserable while solving them. I can still get to live my life regardless, because death is the one thing that we are all guaranteed. And experiencing loss has taught me that greatly. And now I appreciate life all the way more. It's not to say that I don't have my moments where I'm like, overwhelmed with stress and all these things, but I know to just be like, okay, this is the stress and this is me. I know how to separate myself from it and be like, okay, I'll just place you here for now. But in the meantime, I'm still going to have me some, some fun, just an experience to just best give me like life and more energy to even go back to that, with a different perspective or a different, way of looking at things, with even more energy to go after the things that I need to get to in order to help solve my problems. And another thing it also taught me is that you don't just grieve death, There are things that you will grieve: relationships or the end of relationships, grieving, some sorry to stop recording, it cut off, but I was saying, like, there are situations that you will also, be required to grieve. It doesn't just have to be death. And it's helpful because there's acceptance that comes with knowing that things have changed, and just embracing that, there will be something new that will come. Because holding on to some of these things that you really want to stay the same but have already changed, because you're so much in denial of the fact that it has changed, will leave you with that thing inside of you, which you don't really have space to open yourself up to anything new, And so it taught me to grieve situations, different things that, quite frankly, you find yourself holding on to because you really don't want them to change. But it's crazy to just believe, or to just have to accept that change is inevitable. Change is always going to come in some form or fashion in the different aspects of your life. And, rather than holding on to what you want it to be, you can let it go and just be accepting of what is to come. And that has been great to also just release most of the stuff that I didn't realize I also had just so pent up within me, or I was fighting to just cling on to because I don't want it to change, And so, my heart goes out to anyone that is experiencing loss or has experienced loss recently. I would just tell you, just be with the pain, be with the emotions that come with that pain. Feel through all of it. Don't feel guilty for whatever emotions that may come up. But mostly, I feel like anger leaves you feeling very guilty, but it's very much a valid emotion to feel because it's part of the process of, you know, grieving and letting yourself to just, you know, feel and let go of that said anger. What I can tell you is don't dwell on it. Don't let it consume you, you know? And again, I think grief is very much a personal experience. My way of dealing with it may not be your way of dealing with it, but do your best to just feel through it in the best way that you can and as soon as you are able to. Because for me, I mean, not being there for the funeral process, I mean, there's not much that I could do. So I was able to be in my grief sooner than, you know, most of my family was. And it was really helpful. But even then, I believe everyone had their own way of just grieving it. And eventually just letting yourself be in that state of grief and let it pass, express it to the best of your ability. If it is, you will talk to somebody about it, journal about it. For me, journaling is it. I journaled a lot, share memories and experiences with loved ones that you have of that person that you lost, or that thing, or whatever the case may be that you are grieving, whatever loss it may be that you're experiencing right now in your life. Allow yourself to feel the pain that comes with it, but don't stay in it. It will not help you at all. Like, eventually come to the point of accepting and letting it go, because it will help you open yourself up to new and to allow yourself to continue living, because life is not a guarantee. You're not guaranteed to be here forever. There's a time limit for you. There's an expiry date for you, for all of us. And the sooner you accept that, the better. It changes even the way you just operate in your life day to day. And yeah, that's all I think I have to say about this. Maybe that I've left some things out. It may be that I've not spoken on the entirety of it. But I hope it serves to help somebody. So yeah, that's all I have. Thanks for getting to the end of the video. I appreciate very much, and have yourself a wonderful day or night wherever you may be. Bye.